Imagine this. A boy floats into your nursery window on a moonlit night. His eyes sparkle with promises of adventure, endless games, and a world where you'll never have to say goodbye to your teddy bear or face the big, scary, grown-up world. He sprinkles fairy dust on you, whispers, "Think happy thoughts," and suddenly you're soaring, free, wild, immortal. But what if that boy isn't your savior? What if he's the thief who steals your childhood, and then, when you're no longer useful, he steals your life? What if Peter Pan isn't the hero of your dreams? He's the nightmare hiding in plain sight. Welcome to the dark underbelly of one of the most beloved tales ever told. I'm Mystery Inc., and today we're diving headfirst into Neverland, but not the magical paradise you remember from Disney sing-alongs. No, this is the conspiracy theory that's haunted book lovers, film buffs, and conspiracy enthusiasts for over a century. Peter Pan, the eternal child, is no innocent sprite. He's a cold-blooded killer, an angel of death, or worse, a tyrannical cult leader trapping souls in a limbo of eternal playtime. And Captain Hook? He might just be the hero trying to drag those kids back to reality before it's too late. Buckle up, because this isn't your grandma's bedtime story. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll unravel the threads of J.M. Barrie's original masterpiece, expose the grief-soaked inspirations that birthed this monster, sift through the evidence from the pages themselves, and explore why Disney tried and failed to bury the shadows. By the end, you'll never look at that green tunic the same way again. Let's fly, but keep one hand on the window latch. You might want to climb back out. To understand the darkness, we have to start at the source, not the 1953 Disney cartoon with its bouncy tunes and cuddly Tinkerbell, but the twisted genius behind it all, Sir James Matthew Barrie, a Scottish playwright born in 1860 into a world where childhood was as fleeting as a spark from a match. Barrie's life was a masterclass in loss, the kind that carves deep scars into a man's soul and spills out onto the page in ways that masquerade as whimsy. Picture a 6-year-old boy, small for his age, playing in the frozen Scottish countryside. His older brother David, the golden child, the one who could skate like the wind, takes a tumble on the ice. A single stupid fall. Fractured skull. Gone before his 14th birthday. Barrie's mother, shattered, clings to the lie that comforts her. He'll always be a boy now. He doesn't have to grow up. That line, it's the seed of everything. Barrie, guilt-ridden, some whisper he even witnessed the accident and feels responsible, spends his life chasing that frozen moment. He stops growing, not just in body. He stayed a diminutive 4'11" his whole life, but in spirit. No kids of his own, despite 2 failed marriages. Instead, he collects children like rare stamps, weaving them into his stories as if to trap them in ink before time can claim them. Fast forward to 1897. Barrie, now a 37-year-old bachelor with a scruffy beard and a penchant for St. Bernard dogs, strolls through London's Kensington Gardens. His pup, Porthos, the real-life inspiration for Nana the nurse dog, bounds up to a wide-eyed 5-year-old named George Llewellyn Davies. And just like that, Barrie's hooked. George and his 4 brothers, Jack, Peter, Michael, and Nico, become his obsession. He vacations with them, stages epic games of pirates and fairies by a leafy London lake, and scribbles down their adventures. These aren't just play dates, they're rituals, a way for Barrie to resurrect his lost brother through these living proxies. The boys call him Uncle Jimmy. He calls them his muses. But tragedy, that cruel puppeteer, follows close behind. George's parents die within 3 years of each other. Father Arthur in 1907 from cancer, Mother Sylvia in 1910 from the same. Barrie, ever the shadow guardian, worms his way into their will, becoming legal custodian at age 50 to boys as young as 6. It's possessive, almost vampiric. He later writes in his notebook that Peter Pan was his desperate attempt to grow up but can't. And the boys? Their lives unravel like a frayed rope. George dies at 21 in the trenches of World War I. Michael drowns at 20, ruled an accident, but whispers of suicide linger. Peter, the namesake, offs himself at 63 in 1960, calling the book that terrible masterpiece that shadowed his life. Nico lives to 77, but even he describes Barrie as an innocent, untouched by adult desires, a man forever stalled in boyhood's grief. This isn't just backstory, it's the blood in the veins of the story. Peter Pan first flutters onto the page in Barrie's 2002 novel, The Little White Bird, a creepy semi-autobiography where a middle-aged man fixates on stealing a boy from his mother. The infant Peter, just a week old, flies back to Kensington Gardens to live with birds and fairies. But his human mother, she's already moved on, window open for a new baby. Abandoned, replaced. Sound familiar? That's the wound Barrie never healed. By 1904, it evolves into the play Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, and in 1911, the novel Peter and Wendy. On stage and page, Peter is no cuddly rascal. He's gay and innocent and heartless, a sprite who kills pirates without a flicker of remorse, who forgets his friends mid-adventure, who treats life like an endless game where deaths are just resets until they're not. Now, let's crack open the conspiracy itself. Theory number one, the one that chills me to the bone, Peter Pan is the angel of death, ferrying the souls of dead children to Neverland, a glittering purgatory where they play forever, blind to their own graves. It's not some internet fever dream, it's baked into the text. Remember how Peter lures Wendy, John, and Michael Darling from their London nursery? He doesn't knock. He sneaks in, loses his shadow, gets Nana the dog blamed for the break-in. It's abduction, plain and simple, but framed as enchantment. And the Lost Boys, those ragtag orphans and animal skins crammed into hollow trees, Barrie drops this bombshell casually. The boys on the island vary, of course, in numbers according as they get killed and so on, and when they seem to be growing up, which is against the rules, Peter thins them out. Thins them out, like pruning a garden. No tears, no funerals, just gone. Some theorists say these boys aren't kidnapped runaways. They're the unclaimed dead, babies fallen from prams or lost in Kensington Gardens, places where Victorian parents dumped unwanted infants. Peter gathers them, gives them fox or bear costumes to hide their decay, and lets them skirmish with imaginary foes. But grow up, that's the one rule you can't break. Maturity means facing the void, the realization you're already gone. So Peter thins them, sending their spirits back to the mainland as birds, or worse, feeding them to the waiting jaws of Neverland's beasts.
Think about it. Barrie's own brother, David, forever a boy, frozen at 13. The Llewellyn Davies lads, picked off by war, water, and despair. Even in the book, Peter crows to Wendy. To die would be an awfully big adventure. Adventure, not tragedy. He dances on the edge of the grave because he's the one holding the scythe. Neverland isn't escape. It's the afterlife's waiting room, where lost souls, the ones who broke through to the other side too soon, chase pirates and fairies until Peter decides their playtime's over. And those mermaids? Forget Ariel Sparkle. Barrie's sirens are vain, screeching horrors who drag drowning boys to coral caves, their songs luring sailors to doom on Marooner's Rock. Captain Hook calls them Loreleis, Rhine River temptresses who smash ships on reefs. They're not friends, they're the ferryman's toll. But wait, it gets darker. Peter's not just death's messenger, he's its architect, a child-killing tyrant obsessed with control, slaughtering anyone who threatens his eternal youth. That thins them out line? It's Exhibit A. The Lost Boys aren't a merry band, they're hostages in a cult, starved of real food. Peter serves make-believe meals of acorns and nuts, laughing when they pretend to eat, pitted against each other in brutal games, their bodies warped to fit tree layers, slightly too big, slightly too small, a constant reminder they're not quite right. Peter forgets their names, their faces. He saves Wendy from drowning, not out of kindness, but to gloat about his cleverness. Heartless, that's the word Barrie uses. And when the Darling kids want to go home, Peter doesn't rage or beg. He just moves on. Hooks up with Wendy's daughter Jane years later, then her granddaughter, a cycle of abandonment, each generation a fresh toy. Enter Captain Hook, the crocodile-ticking pirate we love to hate. But what if he's the whistleblower? Hook's no villain, he's the hero, a former lost boy who grew up, escaped Peter's clutches, and came back with a crew of rebels to burn Neverland down. In the book, Hook's got a code. He spares kids who surrender, quotes poetry, fears the sight of his own blood. Peter's the one who slits throats mid-fight, crows over corpses. And that hook? Legend says it's from Peter chopping off his hand to feed the croc. But flip it. Maybe Hook lost it trying to free the boys, a badge of resistance. In 2023 Disney live-action Peter Pan and Wendy, they lean hard into this. Hook's booted from the island for questioning Peter, rallies ex-lost boys as pirates, fights not for treasure, but to stop the thinning. Peter is the dictator, enforcing rules with fists. Hook's the flawed revolutionary, his bad form just trauma's scar. Why else does the croc swallow a clock? It's ticking down Peter's reign. Time, the one thing he can't fairy dust away.
Let's linger here. Paint a scene from the book to feel the chill. Close your eyes, or don't, if you're brave. It's night in Neverland. The lagoon glows phosphorescent, mermaids keening like banshees from their coral tombs. One of the lost boys, let's call him Curly, the chubby one starting to sprout a whisker, wakes sweating in his tree hollow. The air tastes wrong, like forgotten milk. Peter's silhouette blocks the stars. "You're getting big, Curly," he says, voice light as thistledown. "Against the rules." Curly stammers, "But Peter, I want to go home, see my mom." Peter's laugh tinkles like breaking glass. "Home? Silly! This is home." A flash of steel. No, not a knife, just Pan's casual cruelty. By dawn, the birds sing one less voice in the flock. The others wake, notice the empty skin suit dangling like a molted shell. "Where's Curly?" one asks. Peter shrugs. "Flew away, big adventure." And the games resume, swords clashing, arrows whistling, but the hollows feel emptier, the laughter a touch too shrill. That's Barrie's Neverland, joy laced with void. We're halfway through, 15 minutes down, and the shadows are lengthening. But let's zoom out. Is this conspiracy airtight, or just overactive imagination? Counterpoints exist. Barrie scholars argue the thinning out is a metaphor. Boys sent home to grow up, not murdered. The play's stage notes clarify. Peter escorts them back to the mainland, shadows intact. And the deaths? Victorian lit's full of morbid whimsy. Think Alice's Wonderland, where kids tumble into rabbit holes of the uncanny. Peter is heartless because he's a child, not a sociopath. Kids bruise knees without guilt, play tag without tallying tears. Fair, but then why the obsession with death? Why does Peter break into the Darling home on a death's head night, as Barrie calls it, the anniversary of David's fall? Why the Llewellyn Davies curse, mirroring the Lost Boys' disposability? Coincidence stretches thin as fairy wings. And Tinker Bell. Oh, that green-eyed sprite. Disney's her a flirt, books her a fury. Jealous of Wendy, she convinces the Lost Boys to shoot her down with arrows. "Wendy the bird," they crow, thinking it's a game. Only Peter's kiss revives her. Tink's no sidekick. She's Peter's dark mirror, a pint-size harbinger willing to poison rivals for his gaze. Some fan theories go wilder. Tink's absinthe, the green fairy, Peter's drug-laced lure for runaways, fairy dust hallucinogen pixie coke, lures kids from the slums, keeps them hooked on highs till they thin out from overdose or withdrawal. Edgy, sure, but it fits the era's underbelly, Barrie's Edinburgh roots in poverty and opium dens. Now, let's thread this through modern lenses. In our post-Stranger Things world, where kids battle upside-down demons, Peter's no stretch as a demogorgon in tights. Podcasts dissect it, episodes running hours on Peter Pan as trauma text. Reddit's fan theories boils with posts. Peter's the real pirate, plundering childhoods. And X? Threads explode with AI art of skeletal lost boys, hooks glinting heroic. But beneath the memes, it's poignant. We grew up on this, me included, flying kites pretending pixie dust. To learn it's laced with loss, it's betrayal. Yet, cathartic. Barrie didn't write to scare, he wrote to mourn. I created Peter Pan so the children I loved most wouldn't have to die, he confessed. In that, the conspiracy humanizes him, a broken man gilding grief in gold.
Picture the final showdown, reimagined through this lens. Hook's ship creaks under cannon fire, but his eyes aren't on treasure. They're scanning the rigging for boys with hollow cheeks, the ones Peter hasn't culled yet. "Come aboard, lads!" he bellows, voice cracking like thunder. "Grow up! Live!" Peter swoops in, dagger flashing, crowing, "Bad form, oh odd fish!" But as the croc's jaws snap, clock-ticking doom, Hook whispers to a trembling lost boy, "He'll thin you next. Run!" The boy hesitates, dust shimmering on his lashes. Adventure or awakening? The plank awaits.